Hi everybody, today's lesson is going to be about science tools. These are things that you will use in our lab and you should know what they do. A dropper is used to suck up liquid and to place drops of that liquid on or in something. It is not very accurate. Some of the ones you have at home are a little bit more accurate because they have lines with measurements on them so you know how much medicine to take. The ones that we have in our lab don't have any lines on them, and they usually make bigger drops than another kind of dropper that we're going to talk about in a little bit. A hot plate is something that you plug in to the outlet on the lab table and you use it to heat things up. When you're using the hot plate, there's a dial on the front so that you can turn the heat up or down or turn it off. Most of the time we'll have the heat on high. Do not touch the black circle on the hot pad or put any kind of liquid on it. Sometimes the liquids that we are using to heat have chemicals in them and they might give off a bad odor or they will make a mess on the hot pad and it's really hard to clean off. So make sure that you don't touch the hot plate, and usually we'll leave them out after we use them because they take a little bit of time to cool down. A graduated cylinder. Be aware that graduated cylinders have different size of increments. So some graduated cylinders might go up by 1 milliliter each time. Some go up in increments of 5, and some go up in increments of 10 or even 20. So take a look at your graduated cylinder before you start measuring. They're used to measure the volume of liquid. That's how much space the liquid takes up. Liquid is measured in milliliters in a graduated cylinder. Beakers. Beakers are shorter and wider than graduated cylinders, and they have also different increments of measurement. Very few of them measure by 1 milliliter at a time. Mostly they're by tens, 50s, or hundreds. And you also measure the volume that's in a beaker in milliliters. A triple beam balance, and that leads us to the riddle of the day. What is lighter than a feather, but even the strongest person cannot even lift it? It is air. Triple beam balances are not a scale because a scale measures weight. A triple beam balance measures mass. The unit of measure on a triple beam balance is grams. And coming up on the next slide, you will see a video of how to use a triple beam balance.
Or to the center of the earth. Mass is how much is actually in an object. And we're going to do that by balancing it with using these sliders right here. The first thing we need to do before we even begin to measure or even put an object on the plate over here is to zero out your sliders. The way you do that is make sure that all of your sliders are firmly put into the zero place. All the way to zero. Okay. Then we move down to here, and we want to make sure that this line right here is in line with that one. It's not. So I need to come all the way over here to the adjustment knob. And we're going to twist the adjustment knob back and forth until we figure out, until it lands on that zero. Alright, so as you can see, I've got this triple beam balance zeroed out. So now we're going to place our object that we're going to measure its mass up on this plate. And once again, we've got our good friend Mr. Bacon. Hello, Mr. Bacon. Let's have you go ahead and just move yourself right on up there. There you go. There he is sitting on the plate. Now, to measure the mass, we need to start with the largest slider. We move it over one time and it's going to click into place. Now listen. See? But as you can see, he doesn't weigh, or he doesn't have a mass of 100 grams. So we go back to zero. Now let's try the tens. I like to start somewhere in the middle. see, since I know it's not 100, looks like it's not 50. So now we go back. 10 by 10. Okay. Well, it's somewhere between 40 and 50. So I'm going to leave it on 40, and then I'm going to use the little slider. And this little one, I just like to flick until I get that to zero out over here. So I'll just flick, and you'll see. It's starting to go up again. Ooh, there we go. It's on zero again, so now let's look at it. It appears that it's 42 and then one little line, which means 0.1, just like we did with our ruler. So it'd be 42.1 grams. There you go, Mr. Bacon. Thank you very much.
How to use a balance. First, you need to adjust all of your sliders to 0. Then use the knob on the end to balance the scale so the line is at 0. Then slide one slider at a time, starting with the largest amount until you get the right mass of the object on the pan. Following the slide, you will see a short video of how to use a balance properly. Safety glasses. Almost any time that we are doing an activity in the lab, you will need to wear safety glasses to prevent things from spilling or splashing on you. Even if you wear glasses, you still have to wear safety glasses because there is a side panel to our safety glasses that will protect the sides of your eyes and your face in case something should splash up. Thermometers. Thermometers are used to measure temperature, and they are measured in Celsius. You will sometimes see a Fahrenheit measurement on some of the thermometers we have, but since we are scientists, we will always measure in metric units. Test tubes. Test tubes are little cylinders that we put liquid in, and they are just there to hold the liquid, but they are not used to measure them. There is no measuring lines on a test tube, so you will need to measure with a graduated cylinder and then pour the liquid into a test tube. A test tube rack. Test tubes cannot stand up on their own, so you will need to put them in a rack if you are going to use them. This is what they look like, and they're plastic and they're not very sturdy, so make sure if you're going to pick one up that you hold it from the bottom. A pipette. A pipette looks and acts like an eyedropper, but it gives you more control over the amount of liquid that you will dispense. It usually will drop smaller amounts, making your measurements more accurate. And these are what we usually use in the lab because we have a lot of them. Alright, that's all we have for today. Please make sure you know what all of these tools are, where to find them in the lab, and what they do. Have a great day.